Hi friends, thanks for joining me in my craft room today for another Focus Friday, where today's focus is the Sweet Strawberry Bundle that comes with a punch, the Strawberry Builder Punch, and a stamp set. So today we're going to get started by making a template to use in the Stamparatus. You'll notice that the stamps have a stamp that stamps the fill and one that coordinates that stamps the outline. Then I just turn around my plate and put the outline stamps on to get them set up. Now this makes it super easy to go ahead and make multiples of your card because your placement of your stamps is already set up. By using the Stampin' spots, it's a lot easier when you're using your Stamparatus. It doesn't get as much ink all over the plates. So I've just done the outline, then I'll turn it around and do the fill. I'm going to stamp off first because I want it a little bit lighter. There you go, isn't that nice? And then it just fits right into the punch perfectly. So easy to make multiples of those stamps. As well, you can punch out of paper and put the pieces back in the little holes to have perfect placement each time as well. This way you can conserve paper, so you can cut and make sure your cuts are conserving as much paper as you can. So I've just done the outline first, and then I'll go back and do the fill. Now you see, in order to remove the plates on the Stamparatus, you have to have the plate directly up and down. It has to be perfectly straight up in order to get it out, to turn it around. See how easy it is to make multiples? Okay, so I went ahead and punched all the rest that we're going to use for our cards. We're using Balmy Blue, Soft Sea Foam, Just Jade, Mint Macaron, Pretty Peacock, Garden Green, and all of the strawberries are out of Poppy Parade. We also used Crumb Cake, Bumblebee, and Cinnamon Cider. So we're going to go ahead and stamp all of our sentiments. This first one is in Pretty Peacock. Hello there. The second one is in Bumblebee, and it is Happy Birthday, You Sweet Thing. So we're doing 2 happy birthday cards. The other one will be in Garden Green. And then the last sentiment will be Just for You, and we're doing that in Crumb Cake. Then we're going to use the punch, Label Me Fancy. Now we're going to create a random background. So We will just move the cardstock around where we need it to be moved. I'm just going to use the outline stamp first, and then I'll go back and then I'll do the fill. Now I had to take the plate off because my paper wasn't going to fit properly. Because the stamp is a certain position, I didn't want it to be upside down, so taking the plate off is not a problem. Then I'm just going to do the fill on a couple random strawberries. There you go. Okay, for this next card, we're using cinnamon cider ink on bumblebee paper. And this is a 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 square. And I'll layer it onto another piece of bumblebee, which is a 4 by 4. And so the total card will be a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square. Now here I'm doing the same thing as I did with the strawberry. To create the background, just random stamps. So I'm just moving the paper around. Sometimes you have to wipe off your plate if the ink gets on it. You don't want ink stripes and spots on your cardstock. So I'm randomly stamping off twice and randomly going full strength. Then I cut it into strips of 1/2 inch. Now for this next project, this is not going to be a card. It's going to be a little gift or treat bag of sorts. So we're just going to create a background. This paper is Pool Party, and we are using Pretty Peacock ink. Then we're going to score it at 1/2 inch on each side and the bottom. And then on the backing piece, we're going to go ahead and cut off 1/2 inch on the bottom and both sides. And then you have to go back and cut a little sliver off of the backing so that it fits well into the space. I'm just going to score it with my bone folder. Didn't quite fit, so I had to trim off a little bit. Then we'll use our seal. Place the backing in place, make sure the top is butted up to the top, and there's our little treat container, and we'll decorate it with our embellishments. So we're going to use dimensionals on the sentiment, along with the strawberry right beside the sentiment, and then we'll layer the leaves and the little flowers behind. And then I found a little piece of tissue paper that I put into the top as the final finishing touch on this little treat container. Now to finish up this card, like I said, it's going to be a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. I'm just going to glue these strips on and just leave a hair space in between each cut, each strip. Then the flowers that we used on this particular card, we did just use the background color, and we used balmy blue, and we did stamp off first so it's a lighter color, and we're going to use dimensionals on the sentiment. And then I really never thought that balmy blue would go with bumblebee, but it really looks nice. And then to top it off, we're going to use Wheel of a Time sequins. I think it gives it a beautiful touch. Wheel of a Time. Then we'll finish assembling this card. Now the embellishments on this card, I used the gilded gems. Now, I did use the Stitch Greenery die that gives wonderful texture. Now, one side is very smooth and the other side is bumpy, so I put the adhesive on the smooth side so the texture side is up. And this designer paper is double-sided. I wanted you to know that it is the True Love Designer Series paper that is expiring the end of this month. It's a wonderful paper. Neat thing about our papers that are just black and white is you can stamp over them. You could color them whatever color you want. So it could be, you know, black and whatever color you want it to be. Now these stems are out of Pear Pizzazz cardstock, and then Garden Green is the color that I stamped over them, using dimensionals on them, as well as on the sentiment. The sentiment then is going to go on the accent of Poppy Parade. And then I'll figure out how to position them to all fit on the front. And there's another Happy Birthday You Sweet Thing card. Okay, there's all of our projects for today. Thanks for joining me for my Focus Friday of the Sweet Strawberry Bundle. Be sure and like and share. Thank you for joining me.